Hello everybody, welcome back to Walt and Sarah's channel. Today I'm going to show you two different styles for embroidering your little stuffed bunny. Now among all the embroidery pages, I'm noticing a little bit of a debate on whether or not you should hide the stitch. Well, I'm going to show you how to do both styles, doing one on each ear, and then you can decide which way works best for you. In my opinion, both ways have their pros and cons, so it's totally up to you what you think looks best. But first up, I'm going to show you how to remove the stitch here and then embroider and then sew her back up. It sounds absolutely disturbing, but it turns out really cute. And it definitely takes your bunny to the next level by hiding that stitch. But this is the more complicated method and more time consuming, so that's why I decided to go this route first. Plus, it's the one that I see a lot of people kind of struggle with on how to seal it back up and flip it around. So that's why I decided to show you this one first, just in case you're just here to learn how to do that. Keep in mind you can use a seam ripper if your stitches are small. On this particular bunny, the stitches that were already there were super thick. So all I had to take was my embroidery scissors and snip it apart, and it started coming apart all by itself. So easy peasy there. Here I'm using a derpy hoop. These are the ones, they came with our machine as like a bonus pack. I do have it wrapped in painter's tape because I don't want it to get super sticky and ruined with the sticky stabilizer. So this is sticky tearaway stabilizer. Say that 10 times fast and you are a master embroiderer. Like, that takes skill. So where I'm putting my bunny's ear, where it's going to be embroidered, is being put down on stickiness. So it's kind of like a tape that's already keeping it there. I don't have to spray it. I don't have to pin it down. This stabilizer is so sticky. So my bunny ear is not moving. As you can see, I'm also using this disappearing magic ink. This is the one, the purple side. It disappears after about 24 hours. It's completely gone. I absolutely love it. So I'm using that to mark my little bunny ear to figure out where I need to embroider. As some of you know, I just had a little baby and she's getting in the, in the background fussing away. So I do kind of rush through this, and I do apologize because you can see I already did the other ear, but I'm just showing you guys in reverse because, again, if you're just here to learn how to do the opened ear style, I wanted to put that first in the video. That way, once you get the knowledge that you need, you can go ahead and leave us after you hit subscribe and thumbs up. Thank you very much. So anyway, back to business here. I'm kind of centering it as best as I can. Again, I don't need to use pins. I don't need to use the spray adhesive because the stabilizer is sticky and it's keeping it right where it needs to be. Now I'm just going to jump to it embroidering. Okay, so I do have a piece of clear water stabilizer on top. Water soluble stabilizer. Whew, these terms, man, we got to get this down. So I have that on the top there. I'm not going to show you how to line it up on the machine because everybody's machine is different. Now I am missing a clip here that I did record and I don't know where it went. So what you got to do is, just like if you were doing like a pillow or a blanket, you need your opposite ends to meet. So your outside ends are going in, and then you're going to sew that bad boy together. All you need to do is follow the line there. You can kind of see, I don't know if you guys can get in the video, but when your bunny's in front of you, you'll be able to see where the line is, where the original stitch was placed. The fluffiness definitely does make it harder to stitch than just two cotton pieces on top of each other. But once you do a couple of the bunnies, you'll get it down. The best advice I can give you is to just take your time, set, a half an hour without kids running in there. That way you can get everything lined up. It doesn't take long at all. It's just a matter of time management and having the time to sit down and get it done. So I did pin my ears together, that way they wouldn't move, and then I found that unpinning them made it a little bit easier for me to maneuver it where I needed to go. That fluffiness is a pain in the butt. I'm just going to call it like it is. So the fluffiness there, at one point I realized that I'm not even attaching it. So I am going to flip this on the opposite side. So the purple side of the ear is going to get just like a second stitch around. That way I know that it's on there nice and tight and no surprise holes. Here I am just redoing what I already did on the other side, just making sure that my little baby can't stick her fingers in the bunny's ear. Now this is the part I really want to try to capture on camera, and of course my hands get in the way a little bit. But after you trim up your pieces, make sure you remove any needles that you might have had in there. You're going to flip it around just like you would. Again, I hate to use this example once again, but like if you're making, say, just a regular square pillow and how you got to fold it inside out, you're doing the same exact thing with that opening that you left down at the bottom. So attach your two opposite ends, sew it back together in like that oval shape, and then you're just going to push your bunny ear back through using that opening that you left. The final part requires hand stitching just to finish that up. I'm also going to clean up my machine stitches there. I'm going to do a little bit better job tucking it in there, making sure that it's nice and clean looking. Also, just doing our best to fluff out the purple where it needs to be fluffed out and hide our string where it needs to be hidden. So I will say that I was pretty impressed of how well the string blended into the white here, of course. So as far as the purple fluffiness goes, you're not really able to see the thread at all. And to my surprise, even this white spot here, it had that little bit of a texture to it, and it was just enough to hide our thread. So even though I'm stitching right directly on top of it, it still did a really nice job at blending it. So camouflaged it. Really hard to see unless you're looking for it. Pretty self-explanatory. All we're doing here is just finishing up our stitches, closing up that hole, trying to hide our thread. Pretty easy, just doing standard stitches around to make sure it's nice and sealed. Don't need any jelly beans getting stuck in there for next year. Pretty gross. All right, moving right along. Right now, we're going to be working on the other ear where we're just putting 2023 on it. And this one, we're not opening up the stitch. This is a lot easier and a lot faster. So this one, we can just breeze right through. Again, I saved it for second because it is the easier of the methods. And just like before, this time I'm setting up my little markers, trying to do some centering here. Again, speeding, so I'm just doing as quick as I can by folding it in half, making little marks where I want my 2023 to go. Now I'm using the Mighty Hoops here, and I did leave my first attempt at hooping on here so you guys can see. It's okay to experiment and try different things. It took me like 4 times to actually get this thing hooped. Okay, the first time I forgot to hoop the stabilizer. It happens. The second time I have the bunny dangling off of my table. So that didn't work either because she or he, whatever you want to call it, it kept sliding down. So the weight of the bunny was pulling it off. So now you can see how the top of the ear didn't get hooped. So then I have this little hack here where I flip it around and put the body on the table and lay it out flat. Honestly, something so silly, and hopefully that saves you 5 minutes of your day. But it did hoop pretty easy after that, pretty lined up. On here, I'm just trying to flatten it out a little bit nicer, a little bit harder to hoop as opposed to jerky hoops. But it did work, and it was fine, and it didn't move during stitching. Again, I'm not going to show you how to set it up on your machine. That's something that you probably already know by now. If you're doing bunny ears for the holiday season, you probably already know how to rotate your images and where it needs to be. One thing I did on the other ear, I don't know if you saw, is I actually wrote the name out with my disappearing ink. I wrote it out. So that way it kind of really stopped me from flipping it the wrong way, and that way that the numbers and the letters can be read in the same style. So even if you think that they're backwards or upside down, whatever, at least they're consistent and they're the same on each ear. All right, folks, here she is. This is the back of the ear where you can see the stitch is not hidden. I've heard people say that they can kind of hide it within the fluffiness of the backing. I would say with this particular bunny, you can definitely see the backing, but it's not overwhelming. Like if I was doing this for a family member, I definitely would probably just stitch right over the backing of the ear. But if I was doing this for a customer, I would say take the extra 20 minutes and cut that seam. Yes, it's more time consuming, but it does look a little bit nicer, especially, compare the two next to each other, right, guys? I don't have to say it, but it might be faster and easier, but it does look a little bit more professional if you take the time to cut the seam. And you guys saw how easy it was. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, complaints, whatever down below. Love to hear it. And make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up because I greatly appreciate it. So I will catch y'all next time. Have fun making your bunnies. Have a wonderful, safe, and happy Easter. Enjoy it. Spend it with your family. And we'll catch y'all next time.